This is a story about how I got rid of a spirit that was in my house. The first night I slept in my house, I sensed the spirit in my bedroom. And that's one of the few boundaries I have with spirit world. No spirits in the bedroom. But every once in a while, a new one will come wandering in, and I thought that's what was going on. So I communicated that boundary to the spirit. And his reply was, "This is my daughter's bedroom." And so right then and there, I knew that I was dealing with an earthbound spirit. So I began to conversate with the man who identified himself as Mr. Gomez. I saw him as this elderly man who was probably in his late 80s. He then told me that he was in the hospital recently, but just got out, and now he's coming to his daughter's house because he lives here with her. And that's what he was doing in my bedroom, trying to get a hold of his daughter. And at this point, I realized that this spirit didn't know that it was dead. And so that's when I kindly explained to him that his daughter no longer lived here, that this was my house and I was living here with my family now, and that his daughter was somewhere else. He seemed pretty confused by this information. So I've worked with a bunch of earthbound spirits before. And in my experience, I have found that sometimes it's not very helpful to abruptly tell the spirit that they're a spirit, that they don't have a body anymore. So what I did is I began to ask the spirit some questions that would help it realize on its own that it is a spirit. And one of the questions I asked was, have you recently lost somebody you love? And the spirit immediately got emotional and started crying and told me that he had lost his wife a few weeks earlier. So I asked him to tell me about her and about some of the time that he enjoyed spending with her, because I knew the act of the spirit reminiscing about his wife will bring in the spirit of the wife. And so the spirit of Mr. Gomez goes into this long story about how him and his wife used to take these trips to the beach, and that was his favorite time. She loved the beach, and that they felt at peace when they were there. And guess who shows up? That's right, Mr. Gomez's wife shows up, and he was stunned. And I just simply sat back and let her do the explaining. And it was quite a beautiful exchange to witness. After he got the rundown from Mrs. Gomez and he discovered that he was a spirit, he was completely okay with it because now he was with his wife. And as they began to leave together, he turned to me and said, "Thank you very much for this." You see, you can't force a spirit to cross over. There isn't any amount of sage or a specific crystal that will be able to accomplish this. The only thing that gets a spirit to cross over is their willingness to cross over. And if you want to help them do that, then the only way to do that is to help them come to terms with whatever's caused them to remain earthbound. With Mr. Gomez, I really didn't get that part of the story about what caused him to be earthbound. If I had to speculate, it was probably a sudden death in the hospital, based on the story that he told me. And sometimes when there's a sudden death, the spirit doesn't realize that it's dead, and it continues to go about its normal routine. If you want to learn how to have conversations like I did with Mr. Gomez, I've put together a free spirit communication guide. The details are on my profile.